So last week, the White House signaled that it might soon be cracking down on states with recreational marijuana laws. Now, this news came at a White House press briefing where Press Secretary Sean Spicer indicated that this so-called pro-states' rights administration will in fact be enforcing the federal anti-marijuana laws.
I do believe that you'll see greater enforcement of it because, again, there's a big difference between the medical use, which Congress has through an appropriations rider in 2014, made very clear what the intent of what their intent was in terms of how the Department of Justice would handle that issue. That's very different than the recreational use, which is something the Department of Justice, I think, will be further looking into.
Now, even though the administration might take one position on this issue, what it really comes down to is whether or not the Attorney General will enforce the federal laws. Now, if you're wondering what the Attorney General's position is on this, it's not good. It's worse than Trump's, honestly. So Jeff Sessions is our current Attorney General, and he stated that good people don't smoke marijuana, and just last week, he had some pretty harsh words for legal marijuana.
I, as you know, am dubious about marijuana. If states, can pass whatever laws they choose, but I'm not sure we're going to be a better, healthier nation than if we have marijuana being sold at every corner grocery store. I'd see a line in the Washington Post today that I remember from the 80s. This one was, if you smoke, marijuana is a cure for opiate abuse. Give me a break. I mean, this is the kind of argument that has been made out there, to just almost a desperate attempt to defend the harmlessness of marijuana or even its benefits. I doubt that's true. Maybe science will prove I'm wrong, but at this point in time, you and I have a responsibility to use our best judgment, that which we've learned over a period of years, and speak truth as best we can. My best view is that we don't need to be legalizing marijuana.
So on one hand, he's saying that states are allowed to do what they want, but on another hand, he's saying, we really shouldn't be legalizing marijuana because I think it's harmful. Yeah, this isn't something that you want to hear the Attorney General say. Now, he suggested that it's a joke to assume that marijuana can be used to treat the opioid epidemic because, the science just is out on this issue. But hey, maybe science will prove me wrong. But Jeff, you don't have to wait any longer. Science already proved you wrong. According to Time, a growing number of experts, some medical experts, and even some states are considering the idea that medical marijuana should play a critical and legal role in combating the nation's painkiller epidemic. What we hope people take away from this is that when marijuana becomes available as a clinical option, physicians and patients together are reacting as if marijuana is medicine, says Bradford, the Busby Chair in Public Policy at the University of Georgia. And according to a study published in 2014, states that legalized medical marijuana saw a 25% drop in deaths resulting from opioid overdoses. So after hearing that the White House may soon be enforcing federal laws, i.e. just taking away states' rights to legalize marijuana, and after hearing the Attorney General espouse talking points straight out of Reefer Madness, well, I was actually pretty devastated at the prospect of legal marijuana going away because I actually live in a state, Oregon, with legal weed. And it's doing great here. Business is booming. We are taxing weed purchases, and that's going to fund schools. I don't see anything wrong with that. So, it seemed as though legal weed was under threat until all of that fear came to a halt when Jeff Sessions did something that fucked himself over. So he reportedly spoke with the Russian ambassador on 2 occasions during Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Now, the fact that he spoke with a Russian ambassador isn't necessarily the problem. The problem is that he lied about it under oath.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
Now, make no mistake about it, Jeff Sessions committed perjury there. Now, he's a pretty big hypocrite because in the 1990s, here's what he had to say about Bill Clinton when he committed perjury.
I am concerned about a president under oath being alleged to have committed perjury. I hope that he can rebut that and prove that did not happen. hope he can show he did not commit obstruction of justice and that he can complete his term. But there are serious allegations that occurred. And in America, and Supreme Court and the American people believe no one is above the law.
So Jeff Sessions is a hypocrite and a perjurer, and because of his own stupidity, he no longer has the political capital needed to take on such an uphill battle like marijuana. He no longer may even have the career longevity to take on anything as Attorney General because his time may be limited in that position. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, we saw that General Flynn lied about speaking to Russian diplomats, and he had to step down. He was forced to resign. Now, Jeff Sessions is claiming that he will recuse himself, but that's not enough. If you lied under oath, you committed an act of perjury. So you need to step down from that position. But I mean, even if he doesn't actually resign, he still handicapped himself from pursuing anything that's even mildly unpopular as Attorney General. And to kind of demonstrate the importance of political capital, well, back in the 1990s, Bill Clinton tried to take on something that was incredibly popular. He wanted to privatize Social Security. He couldn't do it because a scandal broke that he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. So effectively, Monica Lewinsky saved Social Security because Bill Clinton no longer had the political capital needed to take on such an uphill battle. We're seeing the same thing now with Jeff Sessions. So, I mean, speaking of Bill Clinton, this is relevant. If you want to do something that will piss off Americans, you've got to have political capital. And if you're going to touch something as popular as weed, come on, you're done now. You screwed yourself over. So by being a dumbass, by lying under oath, you inadvertently undercutted your ability to pursue any agendas that the American people disagrees with. You're done, Jeff. It's time for you to step down. You are going to be an ineffectual leader as Attorney General because you have no legitimacy. You lack the political capital needed to do anything. Now, even if Jeff Sessions didn't commit perjury and he still chose to take on marijuana, I still think you would have lost this battle because you just can't go against the American people. Public opinion polls are disproportionately in favor of marijuana. When you narrow it down to demographics, young people overwhelmingly support marijuana, and Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, support the legalization of marijuana, and they overwhelmingly support the legalization of medical marijuana. So this is a losing battle. But even if there still is a battle, even if you still try to pursue this, you lost already, Jeff. You fucked yourself over. So let's give it up for Jeff Sessions because this idiot saved marijuana from himself. Great job, Jeff.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.